Hello and welcome to the next video. Today we're going to speak a little bit about the Gradle and how to use it with Quarkus. So Gradle is more flexible in terms of configuration. So when I was working with Android a long time ago, I could do so many magic with the Gradle because it's basically not a configuration but more of DSL, but it's really dynamic, and you basically can execute code, write the code for a build system in terms of a task. So there is such thing as a task in Gradle, and it basically it has own life cycle and all the stuff. I won't cover it in this video because it's a separate topic, but it gives more flexibility. Unfortunately, for now, as of recording this video, Gradle is not in a stable status. It's more like experimental, and there can be some issues. Maybe when this video will be deployed to the Udemy or where it will live, maybe at that time you will see that it's already out of the this experimental stage, but yeah, so I hope at least. So we had the Maven example folder, right? So I'll go back to the Quarkus course, and you won't believe, but the only thing that we need to do is copy it over. Actually, let me change it a little bit. For the Maven example, we'll make it Gradle example like this, and let's just copy it over to our command line. And you can see that we have a Gradle example book repository / book, nothing special. And I'll add one more line here actually, called -d build tool equals Gradle, and that's it. So when you will execute it, you will see that that's a little bit unintuitive that you use Maven to build a Gradle, but that's what it is. And you can see it's already started the Gradle to create a project. So the way Quarkus decided to do is to use the Maven plugin to to build a Gradle. And so yeah, that's how it is basically. So now they say that you can use Maven Quarkus Dev, but let's open up our project in let's actually open the folder called Gradle example. And so we are here right now. Let me show you a tree. That's a little bit more than usual because of the Gradle wrapper. You have it here. You can also you also have a Gradle, and let's actually open it in IntelliJ IDEA. So we open up the project. You can see that it's already running in Gradle. So let's open up. The Gradle may in some cases be slower, and it may be the key here is to set up everything correctly so that you have a more robust infrastructure comparing to Maven, where you don't have so much freedom of movement. So there is in these cases Maven can be slow, but you need to know what you do with Gradle basically. So you can also see all the information that you can use actually with the running in the application dev mode, right? So you can just call the Gradle Quarkus dev. You can also package the uberjar like this, Quarkus build uberjar, and then the native we will see in another video. So yeah, so first thing first, you can see that we have such a structure here. So let's don't touch the SRC for now. We have the default stuff, docker ignore, git ignore. Then we have build Gradle, which we can look through. So you can see that we have a plugins, one of which is Java, the other one is IO Quarkus. And actually you can open first the settings Gradle. So there is a plugin management in settings Gradle, where you specify the repositories, Maven local, Maven central, Gradle plugin portal, and then the plugins. Of course, the plugins is the IO Quarkus version, Quarkus plugin version. which is I think is in Gradle properties. You can see the Gradle plugin version here, 1:1 final, and then all the stuff that was in the same way in Maven. So you use the Quarkus plugin version here as a dependency, and then the root project name is Gradle example. So that's there. So in build Gradle, you import this by this ID IO Quarkus, then you use the repositories as well, and you have here dependencies, which is we added actually. Let's see. So we added Quarkus small I fault tolerance, vertex web, and rest easy JSON B. So you can see that we have rest easy JSON B here, vertex web, small I fault tolerance. So this line will help the Quarkus to figure out which, let's say, version to use, right? From where. And the Quarkus rest easy is of course the usual stuff. The only difference I think between the Maven and Gradle in terms of Quarkus setup is that the new dependencies are added above, which is in Maven you have it then below, but you can fix it just copying over to the button. The rest is the same. You have a Quarkus GN5 and then rest assured. And the last thing that you have here is the group that you specified take the now version. The artifact is basically the name of the folder. And then you have a compile Java, which option compile args parameters, and in Java you specify the version basically, right? So nothing special here. So you also have a Gradle and Gradle bat to run the Gradle independently, either if it's installed or not on the machine. So instead of using Gradle, Gradle, right, like Quarkus dev or something like this, you will use, even if you don't have a Gradle, you'll use a Gradle Quarkus dev like this. So yeah, that's the first command that you need to know how to run it. So let's go to the SRC. You can see a little bit of difference that you have a native test separate than the test itself, which is more convenient for me, at least I think so. So you can see that there is a book repository test, which is the same as in the native. And so you have here, so the native test also uses imports the test folder as well. So you can just extend the test from the test folder. And in main, of course, you have a Docker as always. And then the class generated. So you can see that here is a return hello for the book. And in resources, you have the same thing. You have an index.html and application properties, nothing more, nothing less. So yeah, let's run our app for the first time. So you can see that Gradle Quarkus dev, you have a Gradle 601 in this case. Probably because I haven't used it yet, but yeah. So you can see that we start the daemon, and the difference between Maven actually, Quarkus dev, and the Gradle is that this thing will stay here forever until you cancel it. So this is kinda, you know, sometimes it's useful because you know exactly how long your app runs, not looking at anything else. Sometimes, like in this situation, I don't like it. It's just, you know, it's like something isn't finished. So I mean, yeah, it's doable. Maybe there is a way to hide it. I've never thought about it, but yeah. So it's like, you know, it feels like it's incomplete. So I'm expecting 100% executing to finish this start. So sometimes the first time I used it, it was feeling like I'm waiting something and it's not finished yet. So yeah, but you can see that it's run everything. So you have Quarkus started in 1.8 seconds, listen on 8080, live coding activated as well, and then all the dependencies that we had previously. So we can go to the Postman as well and call the book. You can see that it's working fine. As you saw previously, you have a 5005 as well. So what you can do is to use the configuration, the default remote You can set up a remote connection, apply, okay, start a debug, put here a line, and call the postman one more time. And you see that it's executed a line. You can see that this class has no fields and whatsoever, right? So yeah, and you can just run it. So one more thing that you can put is that, yeah, so the control C will exit the Gradle run, so that you know. And one thing that you can use also is the -d suspend, like this. So this thing, instead of using the instead of starting the app, it will suspend it. So that's the analog of saying this suspend equals true. So if you put just a suspend, it will say to true. So you can see that it haven't started yet because we haven't connected to the debugger. Once we start it, you will see that it starts the app itself. So this flag -d suspend will be helpful if you want to debug something that occurs in a startup, right? So that's like, it's nothing special. It's like in any app, you can use it in Spring and whatever you use. This will work. Just in Quarkus, it's just one flag. Just you need to remember that -d is defined and not like -f minus, I don't know, something like this. -e maybe environment, you know. But in Maven Quarkus, you use -d as a define in some way. So just remember this thing. And yeah, nothing special here. You have live coding as well. So you put hello2, for example. You can stop a debugger and go to the postman. You will see that it's running really fast. So hello2. Yeah, you can see dependencies as well with the in IntelliJ IDEA you can have a Gradle folder, and you can see all the actual dependencies here as well. So you can go to tasks and there is like different options that you can use. Here is a Quarkus actually, so you can see that there is an add extension, build native, generate config, list extensions, Quarkus build, Quarkus dev, Quarkus test config. So to add an extension, again, you can use a build Gradle to add something here, right? So we can remove and add. So in previous case, we just copied this thing and added a small fault tolerance. In our case, it's already there. Or you can, of course, use Gradle for it. So you can run Gradle list extensions to see all the available extensions that you can use. So it will take a little bit of time, but you will see all the available options here. And it's a lot. Of course, it's a lot. It's like huge amount of. You can see that it's Quarkus core, JAX-B, JSON-B, JSON-P. So on the left you see the name, and then on the right you have a name of the. You know, there is a Quartz, for example, and then a lot of Spring stuff, and like a GPA, web security, dependency injection. So you can use any of them, and you can, for example, let's say we want to import Spring DI, right? So we just copy this thing, and what you can do is to call the add extension, and I think you need to specify it in yeah. So yeah, so you just need to specify extensions equals, and then in like this. So this will add a Spring DI. You can see that it's adding extension Quarkus Spring DI. So yeah, that's the second option to add. The third one was when you create a project with the -d. So you can see that it's added Spring DI on top. And yeah, to build the project, you can use Gradle build. Okay, so I added hello2. That was a mistake because the test was with hello. So now if we run it again, if you run the Gradle build, you will see that this will work as expected. The difference is that you don't see the output of the tests, but nothing special. So you see that build succeeded. You can go to the, let's open IntelliJ IDEA. You can go to the build folder, and then you have Gradle example 1.0 snapshot runner, and this will of course work. You can go to the build and Java -jar Gradle example runner, and this will work of course. So let's execute our app. So there is one more thing that you can do, and that is you can call the Quarkus build and then Uber jar. This will package everything together into like a fat jar, it's also called. So when you go to the build folder, you can see that we have this runner, and it waits like more than usual. And so let's go to this folder. So if we build it the usual way, like Quarkus Gradle build, let's go back. You will see the size of a runner will be a lot smaller than. So you can see that with the normal flow, when you build it with the Gradle build, I used it here, you have like 200 kilobytes, and here you have it a little bit more because of the dependencies. So this Uber jar includes all the dependencies. So this thing is literally independent of anything that you use. So now you know how to use Gradle to build Quarkus, and I hope in a few years there will be more developers switching to Gradle. Just yeah, that's more convenient, more flexible. You taking the experience with Android, the Google decided to switch to Gradle, which was a good move for the platform, and you can do so many magic with it. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.